Good morning, Vanakkam and Namaste. Thank you so much for that responses I've been getting for that small initiative of mine to start a YouTube channel to just share, probably mutually share our experiences. And so I got a feedback from few of my friends that the laws which I had explained, which are going to come into force, have been in Tamil, but technically those were the television channels that had taken the interviews of mine. So I thought I'll just share it for a quick reference. So here I am doing it in English so that the rest of my friends who can't follow Tamil can understand what is that we've been speaking in the other videos earlier. And we'll do a quick wrap up of the pros, the cons, what these laws are majorly about. So what are the challenges, the implications and implementations and much more. Yeah, so to begin with are the names that have been replacing CRPC, IPC and the Evidence Act. So the IPC has been replaced with Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which is BNS, and the CRPC has been replaced with Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, which is BNSS. And the Indians Evidence Act has been replaced with the name Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam. It's quite a tongue twister for at least South Indians. Yeah, the controversy or the challenges actually started with the name itself. But that shouldn't be much of a challenge because it's just the titles that are being replaced with Hindi or Sanskrit, but the content still remain in English. So coming over to what the different laws have been introduced, why was there a need for the name or the entire model to be changed, where wasn't it just enough that we make amendments, because almost like 80% of the laws remain the same. It's just maximum about 10 or 15% which is actually come into there are few differences from the previous laws that we've been having. So wouldn't that be good enough for just an amendment? Was there a need for us to even change this entire format? The government answer is saying that the earlier laws that have been focusing on much of punishment, and the laws which are actually going to come into force from the 1st of July will focus more on corrective measures. So that's how it starts. And there are many unique laws which have actually come into force, which most of us will really appreciate. And one of it is the life sentence or up till death penalty, treating minor rape as a very, very crucial crime. And the second thing that we have also seen is definition of terrorism. So terrorism has not been defined in our laws before, but we are glad that terrorism has been defined in BNS right now. But again, the challenge is there is no much mention in the BNSS, which is in the CRPC's new law, BNSS, so that there is no procedure in which the terrorism had to be handled, what will be the punishment, how are we going to do it. So I think there are much more that they're going to work on the Terrorism Act as well. And the most interesting part is when a judgment is reserved by any honorable court after hearing both sides, and when the judgment is reserved, then you can't keep the judgment reserved for more than 45 days. This is another very progressive law, because most of us have a belief that you don't tend to come into the legal battle because you think it's about a 30 years, 40 years challenge. But when you have time frames for these kind of cases to be disposed of, it's a very progressive way of thinking, and probably people will come up and reach out to the judiciary, ensuring that there is a time frame that the judiciary is going to work with. This is a wonderful, another law which is coming up. And one more interesting thing is video and videography of the police who are going to say for any search or seizure to any place. So usually there is a there is a hue and cry that ED, the CBI, XYZ are working for the government as an extra agency. So probably to kind of curb that apprehension. So they have now gotten this point of videographing the entire seizure procedure or your search procedure. And again, the challenge here is, yes, there is a there is a scope for the videography, but where does this data go stored? Who is accessible to the data? Can the victim be accessible to it, or can the accused be accessible to it? And if they are not accessible, can they go on to the court to get a direction? So all of this is not very clear. And one more important thing is, any crime that if convicted will get a sentence of beyond 7 years, then at that situation they have to have a forensic expert to be there during the crime scene. So at the scene of occurrence, they are ensuring that a forensic expert comes there. So this is very another very progressive law, because usually what happens is the forensic experts come a bit later, and then there is a scope of manipulation, there is a scope of some foul play. So probably having the forensic expert at that point in time will quickly give us the update of the information of the crime scene at that point in time immediately. But again, the challenge is, do we have so many forensic experts in the system right now? It's a big no. Because even today, when you actually give your evidences to a forensic report, most of us know how long we actually have to wait for. It is no less than minimum 6 to 8 months. So imagine that if every crime scene a forensic expert has to be there, then the quantum of forensic experts should be in coordination to the aspiration as well. But does this open up more avenues for having more forensic experts? Are we going to hire more people? Is the system going to be open for more employment? Well, that's something which we believe will happen, because if they have given a law of this intensity, then I'm sure they have to find a solution to ensure that the law comes into implementation. And one more thing which is also facing a lot of controversy is this anti-national law. So they have stuck down on the sedition, but they have got an anti-national law which is quite more stronger than what sedition had been. And in this anti-national law, what the government right now mentions is, it doesn't mean that if you're going to question the governing agencies or the present government, that's not considered anti-national. But if it is something which is going to challenge the sovereignty, the security, the nationalism of the country, that's when this actually comes into place. But again, it's not worded in a very concrete fashion. It is a very superficially worded law. So there are gray areas where people could manipulate with it. But as much as what I can see with these few, and mob lynching is another important law which they have got, because mob lynching has become a very growing phenomenon in few years now. So I think mob lynching also leads them up till the life sentence or up till the death as well. So that gives them a fear factor of not doing a mob crime, or it will not go kind of unnoticed. But seeing all these, which is like wonderful, very ambitious, but the implementation part is still not much clear, because the CRPC, which is like the BNSS, has not given many clarifications to much of the new laws which has actually come into force. So if you ask me at this point in time, it is an absolutely ambitious law. It will be nice if most of it comes into place. And but I would say it's an ambitious law with limited research for an immediate implementation. So I don't think these laws are prepared enough for an immediate implementation, because as I told you, the system is not in place. We need to have administrative reforms, we need to have police reforms, we need to have judicial reforms, we need to have prison reforms to ensure this the system actually comes in place to ensure these laws are effective in usage. And not to forget the police custody, which has been given to about 60 to 90 days, is another alarming law which has got a lot of controversy, because earlier we had only 15 days and now 60 to 90 days. As much as I read from other senior advocates, is it has not even happened in the colonial law. So I think this is a very draconian step of giving so much of power to one particular wing of the system. So this may give a lot of fear to the general public, the citizens, to stand and probably raise any question against the government. And I am sure most of us are that this police custody of 60 to 90 days will surely see amendment in a very short span, because we know the amount of judicial and the police deaths that is happening, the custodial deaths that are happening in a span of just 15 days. And if it's going to be 60 to 90 days, it's going to be a huge alarm and a big concern for us. But apart from these kind of laws, but as I told you, death penalty or lifetime for for minor rapes, and probably 45 days of disposal for an reserve judgment, or probably audio recording, or probably having forensic experts come to the crime scene, or taking mob lynching a bit more seriously, and defining terrorism. All of these are very progressive laws. So we will be very it is a point that we have to be hopeful that the system will adapt to this at the earliest, and the atmosphere is created in such a way that these laws come into force at the earliest. Thank you so much for watching, and please do share your comments, and if there's anything much that we can discuss on, put it in the comments. We'll do it in the next video. Thank you.